So this is a pretty informal interview, and again, there are no right or wrong
Okay.
answers. It's all about your experience.
Okay.
So just make yourself comfortable. To start with, can you tell me about how your chronic pain started?
Well, it started a lot longer ago than I actually knew.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that it was something else
Oh,
other than chronic pain because of how it affected me psychologically. I
okay.
thought that was just what I was dealing with and that the body had nothing to do with the
Mm-hmm.
psychological experience. Um, so I'd say it started my senior year of college, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
I had a blood clot in my right shoulder.
Oh, did
I
you
had
have an injury that led to that
Uh,
blood?
yeah, they thought it was overuse from this thing called Paget-Schroeder syndrome,
Okay.
which is like a lot of viola players get it from using their.
Mm-hmm.
But they thought it was from lifting weights. I had played football through high school and like when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
so that's about when it started. Yeah.
Okay. And what kind of pain do you have?
Now it's pretty much throughout my arm and throughout my back and upper through here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm planning on getting a surgery.
Oh,
So,
okay. And it's just that one side?
yeah, it's the one side. It goes through my back though. It extends. Yeah.
Oh, wow. How far does it go down?
It goes down to about through here. It's hard for me to sleep on my back at night,
Okay.
and I also have GERD,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
so
Mm-hmm.
that affects it.
Oh, it does? Okay.
No, that affects my ability to sleep on my back.
Sure. Oh, I see what
Yeah.
you mean. Okay, makes sense. You mentioned that it was actually something different from what you thought it was at first,
Yeah.
the chronic pain. So,
Yeah.
what was the discrepancy, if you might?
Well,
don't
I
mind
thought
sharing?
like
Mhm.
I was experiencing depression or something,
Oh.
but in the recent years, and I've gotten into meditation, I
Mhm.
found that actually a lot of the psychological pain actually stems in my body, starts
Mhm.
there.
Okay.
So that's a lot to do with it.
I see.
Yeah.
So how did you find out that it was a blood clot?
Well, my whole arm turned blue, and I went
Oh my
to
gosh.
went to the nurse's office at the school I was at, and they said go to the ER.
Wow.
So,
Was that something that happened gradually overnight, or?
I don't know how it all sort of like came about, but
Okay.
yeah.
So they were able to figure out it was a blood clot rather quickly, like in the ER?
Oh
or-
yeah.
Okay. And what was the process like at that time, the treatment?
Well, they removed it the same day. It was a 12-inch blood clot. They removed it the same day,
Wow.
and then I came back. I wanted to graduate and do the surgery after, so for 2 months I was on painkillers and blood thinners, and then they did the surgery where they removed a rib and a scaling muscle.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah.
So no more blood clot, but you still get pain.
Yeah, the DVT is still there, like
Oh, okay.
you know the
The-
scar tissue and
yeah.
all that. But yeah, it causes a lot of pain. And I seen neurologists. You know, I was on OxyContin for a long period of time,
Oh, okay.
and now I don't do it because I've gained a lot of success with meditation techniques,
Great.
specifically loving kindness,
Okay.
and like applying that to a body part.
Mm-hmm.
It's really helped. So.
How did you find meditation as a resource?
In 2011, I moved to Asheville, North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a healing mecca.
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
didn't know that before I got there either, but
Who told you about it?
my uncle
Okay.
who took me there,
Okay.
and I got there and met somebody, and I started doing this thing called neurofeedback.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with it? And he was also a meditation instructor in the Insight tradition, which
Okay.
is Burmese Vipassana.
Okay.
And I started meditating for an hour a day, and it really just started getting a lot of insight. Eventually went on my first retreat,
Mm-hmm.
where that's where things really started moving along. So
That's incredible.
yeah.
So do you still experience chronic pain?
Oh yeah.
Okay. How often?
Every day. Yeah.
Goodness. And is this still like the same shoulder or
Yeah.
area region?
I can't
Okay.
use my arm
Oh,
that
okay.
much for lifting things. Or
Does it affect your work?
I'm not working currently,
Okay.
so
Did
partly
it affect
because
your
of
work?
it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You think so?
Well, the last job I had was a trader, and there was
Mhm.
a lot of using my fingers, but
Mhm.
I was able to manage it. Okay.
And then you had to stop
Yeah.
because of the pain?
Not because of that.
Okay.
I just had to stop.
For other reasons. Okay, I see. And you were able to graduate because you mentioned you opted to get the surgery after your graduation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you really pushed through.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like, or I'm not sure. Do you have a care team, like a medical care team at this point currently?
I don't anymore. I don't really present symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
I thought everything I was dealing with was psychological, but it turned out to be a lot stuff related to this and from having like a lot not having healthy attachments as a kid. But the EMDR really therapists I saw really
Mm-hmm.
honed in on what I was dealing with, and I was able to get past a lot of that. And I did this exercise called an ideal parent,
Okay.
where you install a healthy parent,
Uh-huh.
and that helped to
Huh.
smooth things out a lot. It's really cool stuff. Yeah.
That sounds fantastic. Wow.
A lot
And-
of people don't think
Mhm.
like there are solutions, but there are.
Did that all come from where you were in North Carolina also, or how did you find all these?
Well, when I was down there, they told me about EMDR, but they said that
Mhm.
you should really be in a really stable place where you can manage EMDR,
Sure.
because it's not something.
It could be intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I see.
yeah.
Okay. So right now, no physical therapist or anybody.
No, I've been to many physical
I
therapists
imagine,
in
yeah.
Chicago,
Mhm.
and every one of them comes from a place. Oh, we're so non-mainstream. We're alternative. We're, no, we're holistic. We're, but you go and you really do the same exercises.
Mm-hmm.
And I now do this program called Core Performance.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of it.
No, what's that like?
But it's a combination of Pilates, yoga. A lot of it's on like a Bosu ball
Okay.
or a physio ball,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all about balance and stability and proprioception,
Okay.
like improving that. And I've found that has been really helpful. So
Okay.
I do that on and off when I
Okay.
have the energy.
Hmm. You did work with like a pain specialist in the past?
Yeah,
Okay.
at Rush. Yeah.
Okay. So when I talk about the next couple of questions, if you could think back to those times.
Okay.
And,
She was actually really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's start there. What made her really good?
Well, she actually, originally when I saw a pain specialist was
Mhm.
2009
Okay.
at Rush.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of like introduced me to the book.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what it's called. It's by John Kabat-Zinn.
Hmm.
It's about meditation. It's one of the earlier
Okay.
American meditation books. But she's very nice, but still like painkillers and
Mm-hmm.
it's a brief session you have with one of these people. In my
Okay.
experience with other pain specialists, it's brief.
Okay.
They just kind of sit with you and talk to you about your pain, and usually come from a medical
Sure.
standpoint.
Mhm.
And yeah,
So how long did you work with her?
for about 9 months,
Okay. And
Yeah.
how often did you see her?
once every 3 weeks.
Was that enough for you or too much? What did you
That
think?
was enough. I
Okay.
felt like maybe too much. I don't really know what we were doing in those
Oh,
sessions.
okay.
It was nice, like at the time, to have
Mhm.
somebody to talk to, but it was, yeah.
Okay. And then you mentioned she was the first one, so did you have others?
Yeah,
Okay, so
I-
how many pain specialists did you have?
about 3.
Okay. Were they all at Rush?
No, 2
Okay.
of them were at what's now called Presence,
Oh, okay. I think
Yeah.
I've heard of that. Okay, so
St. Joseph's.
how long did you end up total then working with pain specialists before you stopped working with them?
I stopped about 4 months ago.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
that is pretty recent. Okay.
I really, like they kept on, the oxycodone seemed to help the most, but
Mhm.
the problem with oxycodone is has some side effects,
Mm.
like kind of blurry,
Oh,
kind of like it's hard to go out on them. So
okay.
yeah.
Were those primarily the side effects you mentioned in the email when you said you stopped meds because of
Yeah.
side effects? Okay.
Yeah.
So when you think about the different chronic pain physicians you've worked with, what kind of physician do you work best with in terms of how they communicate?
That's a good question. I think somebody who's a good listener,
Okay.
somebody who only wants to move forward if you're okay with the plan,
Okay.
and
So it keeps you in the loop.
yeah, and treat you with respect and dignity and looks you in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Great. How do you know, or this is hard because this is the research portion, right? I understand what you're saying, but what are some things that clue you in that they are listening to you?
Well, it's hard because you meet some doctors who are nice at first, and then once you become a regular patient, they don't give you the time of day.
Oh.
So I think the key is, when somebody's genuine, I think
Mhm.
it's about being genuine.
And how can you tell when someone's being genuine?
Yeah, I mean that's a tough thing. I think that's
Yeah.
related to like attunement,
Okay.
like being able to feel in your body like comfortable
Mhm.
and safe and secure with, and,
Yeah.
and the fact that they are making the effort to attune to you.
Okay.
So with their body language or whatever. I
Mhm.
think that, but the key is though, like I had a nose surgery done, and the nose surgeon, you go online and read about him, and everybody's like, oh, he's really impersonal or this or that, or like really bad bedside manner.
Mhm.
But I really wasn't bothered by it when I went in to see him. He was like that, kind of like quickly asked me questions, this and that, but I could tell that, he still cared,
Oh, you could.
like there was just like he was focused, and that's like who he was, that he
Mhm.
was being real about who he was.
Mhm.
I don't think you need to be overly, validating with,
Mhm.
patients. So,
Sure.
yeah.
But you could still tell the difference when someone cared. They could be
Yeah.
maybe abrupt, but they're still getting stuff done and they do
Yeah.
care about you.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. What kind of neurosurgery did you have?
Nose surgery.
Oh, nose surgery.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you said neuro. Okay. Was that related to any of the chronic pain, or was that different?
No.
Okay.
I had a subdeviated septum.
Oh, that's difficult.
Yeah. Now it's fixed.
How do you like to relate to your care team? So, for example, one of the things I remember you saying was that they're very nice in the beginning, but later on it kind of changes and they won't
Yeah.
even give you the time of day. So,
Well,
in that situation, would you say something about that, or?
I did. I
Mhm.
like this one doctor. Now a lot of doctors like to communicate through this thing called MyChart.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So.
I want to make sure it's still like recording. It gets
Okay.
me nervous when I'm like, I don't want to lose good
Okay.
information.
Yeah.
Sorry. Mhm.
And I don't like that.
You don't like MyChart?
communicating that. And I
Okay.
asked the doctor, like, can you call me, because I think this is.
Mhm.
And he like made a remark like, oh, I have to pick up my kids at the end of the day. Why do you, if you really need to talk about something, why don't you just come in?
Oh.
And obviously you have to pay to come in.
Yeah.
So, I think that, yeah.
So you prefer to speak than using like a portal?
Yeah, I find a lot of doctors still call, so I don't think it's.
Do they?
I don't think it's too much to ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that they do call.
Mhm.
So you prefer phone call over email then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't like email.
Okay.
So.
When you were working with pain specialists, how often would you call them?
I actually, in
Mhm.
the case of pain specialists, we didn't do a lot of calls. It was,
Why was that?
well, I mean, it's a
Mhm.
pretty simple
Mm-hmm.
visit.
Okay.
You go in, they ask you how the pain medicine's going,
Okay.
and you maybe have a little talk,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. I
Okay.
never got like a very, it was never a very like complicated.
Okay.
So
So no instances where you had severe pain, so you called them or anything like that.
no,
Okay. What was a simple talk like?
like I said, like when we talked about the meditation
Mhm.
book, or when we talked about like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
different exercises I could do, or how is it when you walk, or how is it when you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so
Okay. Let's see, so you have been in treatment since, well, you said you first felt it in 2007, and you worked with a pain specialist in 2009, right? And then you
Yeah.
stopped 4 months ago. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just running through my questions to make sure I got them all. What's the ideal length of time you would like to spend with your physician?
Hmm. Um, it depends. Sometimes, like, when there's some sort of, you're talking about specifically a pain specialist?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how often would you have liked to meet with them ideally? I think you said every 3 weeks was too
Yeah,
much.
yeah, probably once a month.
Once a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've still thought about like looking for other ones, but
Mm-hmm.
it's,
So what was it like to have the conversation where you, like 4 months ago you're saying, okay, I can't take any more of these meds.
yeah.
And was that the end? Was that a dead end? Or were there any other treatments that you guys could try? What happened?
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that was just, that was the relationship. It was
Hmm.
like, come in and you get meds. It's not,
Okay. So it's not, okay, let's try this instead.
There's not a lot. There's some of that, they have like
Mhm.
a bunch of books behind them, and you think that you're going to get into all that, but
Yeah.
you don't really.
Did you ever say that to them?
No. I
How
mean,
come? It's a really good point. So
I
wonder-
just didn't really, I
Mhm.
thought a pain specialist,
Mhm.
is a doctor. I mean, I'm not,
They are doctors.
yeah, so, I mean, they don't, that's
Mhm.
their thing. They give meds, and
Okay.
so.
So you don't see it to
Like,
Mhm.
when I like when I've seen like alternative doctors, like they have like different solutions, but most
Mhm.
doctors stick with medicine, in my experience.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So as of now, you wouldn't be going back to your current pain specialist.
No.
It's been 4 months, but you might look for somebody. That's what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Did you cancel any appointments with your pain specialist?
Yeah.
How often did it?
Sometime, like the last time I canceled it and didn't go anymore, so.
Okay. What percentage of appointments did you end up canceling?
Not many, probably 5%.
Okay. Has your pain specialist ever canceled an appointment with you?
No, I don't think I've experienced that.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about what your experience of pain has been like for you? I guess this is really like...
Yeah, it's caused a lot of stress, and
Okay.
then when I have to use my arm,
Mm-hmm.
it can cause a lot of stress.
Are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. But it's, and I can't take non-steroidal anti-inflammatories because it upsets my,
Sure, your GERD.
yeah. So it's, but the meditation really helps because I'm able to see it as an impersonal process, the pain.
Okay.
That it's not actually who I am. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but
It totally
yeah.
does. And I think that would be very effective as treatment.
Like all the thoughts and feelings associated with the pain, they're actually these impersonal processes which are occurring. And you don't really want to take the hook, and you also want to develop a relationship with them where you're not like, stop, it's kind of like about welcoming it, but at the same time seeing it as separate.
That's really beautiful. I think
Yeah.
that's exactly.
Well, I just got off of another
Okay.
retreat, so I'm
That's what it
pretty
is.
fresh with it. So.
How often do you go to these retreats?
Every 2 years. I'm
Okay.
thinking about though doing a much longer one though.
How long are the retreats that you've been to?
I've done a week long, a month long. Then I did a 3-week stay at a monastery, and my most recent one was a week long. But I've done different traditions,
Okay.
and the most recent one I did was the most effective, which I had always suspected,
Huh.
but never did one of theirs because they're generally all full.
Oh,
throughout
are they?
Like they book up.
Oh, okay.
So I'd recommend it though.
Well, which one was this one? The one that was the
And
most.
it's called
effective?
Insight Meditation
That's
Society.
the Insight. Okay.
It's in Massachusetts.
I see.
They have Spirit Rock in California too.
Great.
So
You mentioned part of that meditation is about making these thoughts and feelings more into the impersonal realm.
yeah,
So, what were those thoughts and feelings initially? Can you give me an
Oh.
example of that?
yeah, pretty dark. Just like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of just anger and depression. I don't really like the word depression, but sad
Mhm.
thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like just taking them on, becoming them, for so long. And then in 2011, I was able to wake up and see that they were separate from who I was, and
What's an example of a sad thought?
I don't know. I don't want to go out today. I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
And then how do you make it not part of yourself, just as like a demonstration of how that would work?
Yeah, it's just now. I mean, the technique is, I'm feeling sad,
Mm-hmm.
thinking I don't want to go out today, and the more that you're able to do that,
Mm-hmm.
the more you sort of start to see that all that.
Mm-hmm.
But it does take time. Like I could not have done that a few years ago. Is really being very honest exactly what I'm feeling and thinking, because you have to have an experience on something like a retreat where you're able to see very clearly the
Sure.
separateness.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't necessarily recommend. A lot of people jump into mindfulness practice like I did early on, and you have to first really gain a good concentration practice to see, very clearly. And then, but what you're also doing is you're stepping away from gaining any happiness from your feelings or your thoughts.
Oh.
And a lot of people don't want to do that, and it was hard for me to do that because
Sure.
it feels good when you have these great thoughts or feelings. So, but when you step away from it, you find that there's this, equanimity, and
Mhm.
you're freed, you're liberated from being dependent on your feelings or thoughts.
Mm-hmm. I see. So it kind of works both ways. Like if you make the sad thoughts impersonal, you have to make the good thoughts impersonal.
Exactly,
too.
yeah.
Okay.
You got to be all in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So.
Just can't take what you like. Is meditation part of your daily?
Yeah,
Okay.
started this morning. But you do it everywhere. It's like seeing you,
Mm-hmm.
hearing, talking,
Mm-hmm.
thinking, thoughts, feelings, and it's, we're so prone to just focus on our thoughts, but really actually the seeing, the smelling, all those are equal
Mhm.
processes.
Sure.
That's still a challenge. So.
Okay. So if you aren't on meds anymore, how are you managing your pain? Is it all through meditation then?
Yeah, I also use at times, when it's really bad, I eat a lot.
Okay.
I still do that. I'm not too hard on myself about it because it's a lot better than how I used to manage it.
Oh,
so.
okay. Does it help when you eat?
Temporarily, it's always temporary,
Sure.
It just kind of like helps with the stress. I find eating like nuts, stuff like that. So.
What makes you laugh?
Yeah, no, it's just
It
funny.
looks like you're thinking of something.
Yeah, it's funny.
Does the pain ever get worse, or is it pretty constant?
Gets worse when I use my arm.
Okay. Do you feel frustrated anymore?
No. I should also mention I learned the Alexander technique.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with
Mm-mm. Tell me about that.
that. It's several movements you make. A lot of actors and singers use it, but
Okay.
now it's been introduced in the meditation communities,
Huh.
and it makes it so I can sit upright on a cushion for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
You're pretty much aligning back. It's like when you get up out of a chair, you're leading with your head rather than like your whole body.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different set of mechanics. I highly recommend it.
So it
pretty
helps
cool
like the
stuff.
whole body, it seems like.
Yeah, it helps you realign your body in the correct way.
Okay.
So,
So that helps too.
yeah.
Okay. When you do feel frustrated, how do you manage your frustration?
Yeah, I mean, just going to wherever the pain is, in the body.
Okay.
Then you're leaving any sort of narrative that you have going about the frustration and why it is, and the whole storyline that comes with that.
Can you tell me a little bit about that storyline?
It's just like this pain, it's here, it's never gonna leave. I'm never gonna be able to live without it, that type of thing. So,
Tell me more about that. That's really great.
okay. Yeah, I mean, there's not much more really.
Okay.
So,
But you're never going to be without it.
yeah.
Do you have any metaphors or stories or ways of symbolism that help you understand your pain or see your pain?
No.
What has this pain meant to you?
Well, it's just, it's a burden,
Okay.
but I'm hoping the surgery will help.
What kind of surgery is it?
They think I have what's called a slap tear.
Okay.
So it's like the cartilage connecting the shoulder
Mhm.
and the arm is all like messed up. A lot of like pitchers get it in
Okay.
baseball. So, but it's always a risk to do surgery because then
Mhm.
you could have to do another one.
Sure. It could lead to other things.
Yeah.
Did you have an initial injury that caused a blood clot? I don't know. Or you said it's from repetitive motion? Or was there like one
Yeah.
single accident or anything like that? Or
I mean, they didn't know exactly. They said though it was like the vein got crimped by two muscles. That's why they thought it was from lifting weights.
Okay. So it wasn't like a car accident or something, but okay, that makes
No,
sense.
I'm not sure what the cartilage is from, but could be playing football or.
Okay. So if you decide to do that surgery, when would that be?
I don't know.
Okay.
As soon as, like switching insurances so I can,
Mhm.
it's hard to find a shoulder specialist in this city,
Mhm.
weird enough.
Oh,
So,
they have everything here.
I know. You would think most people do knee, hip,
Uh-huh.
hand, foot,
But not
wrist.
shoulder.
Shoulder is like a special, thing.
Hmm.
They do it, but you have to have a really good insurance to like go to somewhere like Rush,
I see.
or you have to have Medicare or something like that.
Oh, I get it. Okay. Let's see. Well, I think I have all my regular questions done. So, you started with some really great insight. It seems like you know what my research is about. Are there any things you wanted to mention or contribute at this point?
Seems like you're interested about like attachment issues,
Mhm.
but you didn't ask me many questions.
That's
Or
actually a
did
really
you?
good point. Well, the study actually, you saw, it goes into attachment in significant relationships, and then there isn't like it's not, you can't really use that kind of measure to look at how attached you are to a physician, though. It wouldn't be valid for those purposes. But we want to see, well, how do attachment patterns impact how someone talks to their physician then? Like, if someone's completely avoidant, would they also avoid communicating to the doctor? So that kind of, does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
You raise a really good point, though.
What?
Yeah, like when you had
Yeah.
mentioned, like I didn't really ask you about, because it's really hard to ask or figure out how attached someone is to their pain specialist. But I guess when I first started studying this topic, I was going on the premise that it's chronic pain, so I thought there would be a long-term relationship, you know.
So there's
Mhm.
like the different types of attachment are like ambivalent,
Mhm.
avoidance.
Yeah.
What are the other ones?
Secure
Secure.
and anxious.
And anxious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's anxious with my pain specialist.
Yeah.
Well, I also don't like doctors,
Mhm.
so.
How
but,
come?
I had negative experiences.
Okay.
As a kid, I got this rare disease,
Oh, you did?
and I was out of first grade for a few months because
Mhm.
of it. And so it did develop like an irrational thing that comes up with
Sorry.
doctors, and
Mhm.
I like to avoid doctors. So I
Makes
think
sense.
that in general there's way too many medications prescribed, and
Mhm.
most of the diseases that people deal with, including diabetes and cancer, could be prevented through healthy eating.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
and like things like meditation.
Exactly. Do you think, so I could kind of pick your brain on this, do you think one's general attachment style is independent of how they might be attaching to their physician?
I don't know. I mean, I think like relational
Mhm.
trauma can be like applied to all the people,
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's part of it too.
But I will say, like in my most recent relationship, like the
Mhm.
questions you asked,
Yeah.
didn't come up as much because there was a lot of trust building
Mhm.
and a lot of more open discussions that you wouldn't really have with your doctor. So there was allowed to
Mhm.
be like some, okay, this isn't my caregiver growing up. This is somebody different.
Right.
So.
If for some reason, for like a very good reason, if you were able to build that trusting relationship with a pain specialist, do you think your pain management would look different? Or feel different to you?
Maybe, I don't think they really are into that though.
Good point.
They're like on the clock. They just want to get you in and out.
Mhm.
I've never had that experience with the doctor really.
Do you think that'd be like a good direction to recommend, or what do you think as a patient and your expectations?
Yeah, I mean the whole like environment I think is an issue with doctors. Like
Mhm.
the biggest issue I have with doctors is when you come in and the staff you have to deal with.
Mhm.
Like I really like this app and website now called ZocDoc.
Oh, I never heard of that.
Yeah, like a doctor can post a profile, and online you can go and you can set an appointment. You never have to go through the office staff. I
Mhm.
find the office staff in a lot of doctors' office are like cause so many issues.
Mhm.
Like when you call to make an appointment, there's a lot of holding, and then there's a lot of rudeness, and then there's a lot of questions, and they ask them over and over, and then when you come in, there's drama.
Mhm.
And I find yeah, I don't so I like this website because you get to not have to do that. So yeah.
But you raise a really good point. I hate dealing with all that too, so
Yeah,
I
it's
think I would
just
check
not
out that app.
necessary, and I think they
Mhm.
they hire all those people just to drive up their costs. So with Obamacare, like making it
Mhm.
a government subsidized industry.
Mhm.
So
Do you think if you had that trusting relationship with a doctor, even though it seems like very unseemly,
yeah,
but if you had it, would it also change the thoughts you experience about your pain?
maybe yeah. I mean, I think the way that they think about pain and describe it is inconsistent with how I did, and I felt like more of an open dialogue
Mm-hmm.
would be good. And like I think that they are also in a tough situation because they're required to like enter all this stuff in the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Now when you go see a doctor, they're pretty much standing by the computer,
Mm-hmm.
and it all leads towards diagnosis,
Mhm.
medication,
Mhm.
and follow-up.
Mhm.
And they have to enter all this information, and some of them even like go as far to tell me like, I'm just covering my ass,
Oh,
you know and
they
like
said
tell
that to
me
you.
that, and it just shows like how that's how the medical system is. Like they have to. And I think that problem may be coming from all the people who sue,
Mhm. Sure.
which is also so there's
Yeah.
compassion for everybody, but I think the issue is that it's just a very impersonal, thing. And yeah, I think that you're onto something here, like about how my ideas about pain would change. But I think that the problem is they're doctors. They went to this college where they were thought to think about things based on the germ theory or whatever,
Right.
and it's just research has proven that that's just not always correct, and that
Right.
like actually if you change your mind, it affects your whole body,
Mhm.
and
Absolutely.
it's my opinion.
I think it's a really good point. Um, I've also been interviewing doctors at different pain clinics around the city. Do you think it would make a difference if a pain clinic had a pain psychologist on staff or a pain social worker on staff to talk about those personal aspects?
Well, it depends. I mean, there are a lot of good psychologists, and there are also a lot of bad ones.
You're right. Absolutely.
Um,
That's how it is in life, isn't it?
And, it's really important to get somebody who is hired because of their record, based on what patients thought of them, based on what their clients thought of them, and not what, anything else.
Yeah.
And I think that, yeah, like not from a diagnostic background, somebody who's, really able to, whose number one priority is client-centered treatment and does not care about anything else. And that's the key. The problem with the mental health system is that there's a lot of issues just in how people are trained, how easy it is to get certifications, and the efforts that certain psychologists make to bring in clients and to keep clients coming back, rather than just using modalities like EMDR or neurofeedback, which can, get things done in like 100 times quicker. And I think that, so yeah, there's a lot of things that I think would be important to consider before bringing that in. I think that a psychologist isn't necessarily, it doesn't really mean anything unless the person has really themselves done a great deal of work, psychological work.
You're right.
My experience. So.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Any other comments or questions for me?
I don't think so.
Okay. I hope I was able to answer you when you asked that. I thought that was very astute.
I'm very interested in attachment disorders. I
You
think
are?
that it's actually quite prevalent. Just like so much of the pain that people experience is based in attachment, and freeing yourself from that is very important in like just being an independent person and making decisions on your own. And I personally felt liberated when I was able to separate myself from that attachment I had with my caregivers and realize, okay, this wasn't love, this was attachment, and see that. So.
A lot more to think about. Okay, great.
Also, kindness is important, going out in the world and being kind to people. So that can change your pain, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I hope I was kind in this session, so.
Definitely.
Okay.